like I was saying, me and Lashley were about to head to the ring and champ the champ. Join us?
Absolutely.
What's going on, YouTube? It's Sensei, a place to be chilling with Troy, Mr. A, and the better to give you guys another Raw review for July 20th, 2020. And so this is the Raw where after the Extreme Rules, the horror show Fallout, because that's exactly what it was, a Fallout. Now this week we're getting the unsanctioned match tonight from between Randy Orton and Big Show. Was supposed to be Extreme Rules, and the bar fight's gonna be on SmackDown. So we start off with Steph Rollins. Steph Rollins says, he took Mysterio out in that I-5 match. Which, here's the thing, the match wasn't terrible because Rey Mysterio and Steph Rollins had some good chemistry, and they had a good hardcore match until the eye thing is just the stupid thing that took it over the edge. I'm not gonna say it was a bad match. The eye thing was what was dumb. That was just completely dumb and stuff like that. So that's what Steph Rollins talks about, and then he talks. Then Aleister Black comes out, and Aleister Black says, don't try to turn all this off of you. You're responsible for this. Your hands is covered with this. And he said, he's here for retribution. He comes down there, and we get on to our first matchup. Aleister Black taking on Seth Rollins, which is a pay-per-view quality, SummerSlam quality matchup, which they just for some reason will not do. But fine, whatever the case may be, we have it again here on Raw. Good match by these two. Black hits the black mask on Seth Rollins, who rolls underneath the ring, and then which called that he rolls outside the ring, which causes Aleister Black to not be able to get the 3 count early. Seth Rollins starts working on Aleister Black's arm, and then Murphy's still on the outside, even though he was getting beat up by Aleister Black earlier. Aleister Black tries to go for Black Mass again, but this time Seth Rollins reverses it, goes into curb stomp, and then pins Aleister Black, wins the matchup. And after the matchup, Murphy and Seth Rollins beat the crap out of Aleister Black. So this obviously saying it's not over. So we may get something at SummerSlam between these two. Backstage, MVP and Bobby Lashley are talking because Apollo Crews in MVP's mind forfeit the match. I mean, he's the United States champion. So with that being said, he said, but we see him kind of talking to Ron Simmons, and I was like, it's happening. It's happening. And with that being said, at the commercial break, we go and says, look, you see Archie come. He said, hey man, look, I just want to talk to you. He said, I want to know that if we want to know if the 24/7 champion would join us to the ring tonight. And Archie was like, well, absolutely not. I don't want Bobby Lashley put me in. I forgot what he called his full Nelson move. And he also said the MVP wasn't the real champion. And then Bobby Lashley said no. What MVP meant to say was he wants to bring out the new 24/7 champion. He pulls out a referee, and I'm thinking like, you mean to tell me Bobby Lashley went from facing for the WWE championship with Drew McIntyre to win the 24/7 championship? And I was like, don't do that to Bobby, and they didn't. I know where a kick comes from, right to the side of the head of R-Truth. It's Shelton Benjamin. So Shelton Benjamin wins the 24/7 championship, and then MVP was like, well, like I was saying, would you want to join us out there in the ring? And then he said, absolutely. So they go out to the ring, and this is the Hurt Business, okay? This is MVP's beatdown clan that he had in Impact Wrestling. This is the Hurt Business, whether you call. I understand people talk about New Nation with that. Here's the thing. I think the New Nation will be formed in different forms, but it will never be called the Nation again, or the New Nation, stuff like that. But having Lashley, Benjamin, because first of all, putting Benjamin back on TV is a good start anyway, because Benjamin has not been on TV at all. And having MVP there as the front man is good. The only thing that bothers me or it makes me a little cringe about the Hurt Business is that Lashley don't have a championship. Lashley needs the WWE championship. Now obviously they got plans for Orton and McIntyre, then McIntyre winning it back. But I would love Lashley to get a brief run with the championship and have them have the gold. Because I don't know if MVP's gonna keep the United States Championship long or nothing like that, but or even have them win the Raw Tag Team Championships. But Lashley at some point needs that WWE Championship now, especially because he's evolving and part of that Hurt Business. So they had to cut a promo about who they were. Then all of a sudden, they said that we gotta go face Dumb and Dumber tonight. So here comes Cedric Alexander and Ricochet, and then Cedric Alexander saying, nice joke about Dumb and Dumber. That'd have been great back in 2006 when your career was relevant. And he says, but you know what? you didn't earn that United States Championship. Apollo Crews is still the United States Champion, and then we basically here to shut you up. And then MVP says, "Look, I'll be nice to you kids, okay?" He said, "You can pick any two of us to have a tag team match." And Ricochet says, "No, P, it ain't gonna just be the two of y'all. We got a third person." And MVP's like, "Well, Apollo's not here." He said, "No, it ain't gonna be Apollo. It's returning Mustafa Ali." So Mustafa Ali is on Raw. He made his return. So they're about to have a 6-man tag team match player. And so we have the Hurt Business going up against Ricochet, Cedric Alexander, and Mustafa Ali. So, of course, actually, it was a very entertaining 6-man tag team matchup that broke it down at the end. Bobby Lashley has Ricochet and Cedric Alexander by the throat. Then Mustafa Ali comes out, flies through the ropes, and knocks Bobby Lashley over the announce table. Then we have Shelton Benjamin that gets taken out on the outside. And then we have by Ricochet with the moonsault. And then that leaves Mustafa Ali and MVP in the ring. Mustafa Ali hits the 450, which I missed the 054. I know Mustafa Ali stopped doing the 054 when he injured Daniel Bryan, but I love that. That was what made it different. I love the 054 because you know how people do a 450 now. So why is it any different? What's why it's the same 450? Him doing it the reverse way was cool, but he hits the 450 on MVP and wins the matchup. Good matchup by these two. So I'm glad Mustafa Ali's back. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with the Hurt Business. Are there going to be any more members, stuff like that, or how the slow burn's going to go? But as of right now, I really am feeling it. Peyton Royce tells Ruby Riott that she had a friend, Bianca Belair, help her out last week. So she technically didn't win the matchup. So it's going to be a one-on-one between Peyton Royce and Ruby Riott tonight. But first, we get an update on Christian after that punt kick that he received by Randy Orton. Samoa Joe's talking to him via satellite, and he lets everybody know that he had great respect for Ric Flair and Randy Orton. Randy Orton's one of the best ever do it, but he weaponized Ric Flair, and I have lost some respect for Ric Flair and Randy Orton. And to be honest with you, he may never be the same again. So, but he hopes that tonight that Big Show knocks Randy Orton's head off. Then we get the Ruby Riott versus Peyton Royce singles matchup to see if Ruby can actually win a match by herself. And the match is pretty simple. It wasn't, Peyton Royce did not show that same explosiveness she did the first time she won against Ruby Riott. But Ruby Riott turns Peyton Royce's axe kick around and hits her with the Riott kick. Not the prettiest one, but hits her with a Riott kick and wins the matchup. Ruby Riott's first solo win in over 12 matches over a year. So yes, Ruby Riott gets her first win, and you can tell that she's very excited about it. So I don't know what they're gonna do with Bianca Belair now. I don't know what's happening with Liv Morgan or anything of that nature. But Ruby Riott gets her first win. Drew McIntyre comes out to talk about how the odds are stacked against him with Dolph, and then now he beat Dolph, so now he's looking forward to obviously SummerSlam and what's next for him. And then Ziggler comes out and does the same thing. He says, "Look, I seen it. I was right there. I was so close. I seen it in your eyes that you had fear that I was gonna win the championship." And then I got a Claymore in there. He's like, "Dolph, what are you doing? You're embarrassing yourself." He said, "I won his thing. You picked the stipulation. You did it all, and you still lost. That's what it is. You still lost. The end." And he says, "Look, give me one more shot. Give me one more shot." I was like, "Don't do this at SummerSlam, but it's gonna be next week." And he says, "Okay, I changed my mind. I will give you one more shot." And then he gives him one more shot. And he says, "So, what's the stipulation going to be?" He says, "No, dog, I'm going to do the same thing that you did to me." And then you're going to know right at the start of the matchup. So, Drew McIntyre is either going to probably pick an Extreme Rules in his favor against Dolph Ziggler, or it's going to be like Dolph Ziggler can never challenge for the WWE Championship again, or loser leaves Raw type thing. Like, I don't know what it's going to be. It's going to be something of that nature, I think. So, I'm curious to see what's going to happen next week. We getting ready for a tag team matchup with Andrade and Angel Garza going against the Street Profits. And backstage, they're talking about the Street Profits and Selena Vega. Then they get beat up, jumped by the Street Profits, and then they wait to come see him in the ring. I'm like, that's kind of heelish, isn't it? So we're in the ring. Street Profits taking on Angel Garza and Andrade. Good matchup by these two. Montez Ford is on another level, man. He got star written over him like 2-3 years on the line. star is written all over this kid for real. He got potential, like for real. Cause sorry Dawkins, but it's all going to Ford on this one. They him and I try to exchange back and forth, and then he gets the hot tag to Angelo Dawkins, who comes in and takes out everybody. Gets the Cyclone Splash to Angel Garza, but then Montez gets on top of the rope, on top rope to go for the Frog Splash, but then Garza knocks him down, gives a super kick to Dawkins, tries to give Montez a superplex, but then Dawkins comes back and knocks him off again. Then we get a high Frog Splash that Montez jumps so high in the air, he re-angles himself like RVD in a way, but better. Re-angles himself to the opposite position and drops a Frog Splash on Angel Garza. That was just incredible. So there you have it. Angel Garza, the Street Profits retain their Raw Tag Team Championships. Coming out now is Bayley and Sasha Banks to celebrate that we got 2 belt banks and Bayley dough straps are out here and celebrating at their win. But Asuka comes out cursing out everybody and saying that that's my belt. You did not win a championship. So then I said, well, if this is your belt. Sasha Banks said, if this is your belt, why don't you come and get it? And then Stephanie McMahon comes up on screen because authority, right? Because obviously we ain't got no authority on Raw, but she comes up and she says, look, I want to congratulate y'all on being the SmackDown Women's Championships. Bayley, you being you being the Women's Champion, Tag Team Champions. Bayley, you being the SmackDown Women's Champion, but not too much of Sasha because you did not win the Raw Women's Championship, but neither did you, Asuka. And since Asuka's not the champion either, what they're going to have to do is next week on Raw, it's going to be a match between Sasha Banks and Asuka, and the winner receives the Raw Women's Championship because, Asuka did get pinned, but, it wasn't a legal referee in the ring. So that should be another good matchup. Now I wonder if they're gonna keep it on Sasha, or they will go back to Asuka. But in the meantime, we have Kyrie Zane taking on Bayley. Good matchup by these two. Bayley's trying to work on the arm of Kyrie Zane. She's on top rope. She's caught up in the ropes. Kyrie hits a double foot stomp on Bayley. Like hits her like right in the face. That looked kind of brutal. But then Bayley is fighting back. She tries to go for a Bayley to belly, but then Kyrie Zane comes, rolls her up, and wins the matchup. Kyrie Zane wins her last match with WWE, which hurts me because Kyrie Zane is leaving and going back to Japan to be with her husband, which she should do in the first place. But she's leaving on good terms, so the door is always open, as they said, for her. Here goes time for the unsanctioned matchup between Big Show and Randy Orton. Big Show cut a good promo before the matchup, talk about the history between him and Randy Orton, but this unsanctioned match was not that good. I'm telling you this right off the bat right now. It was not that good. And once again, I've seen better unsanctioned matches, kind of like, I don't know, Moxley and Kenny Omega. So we know that this is not the ideal matchup, as Randy Orton goes for RKO, but Big Show kicks out the RKO. And then he used the steel chairs on the Big Show, beat him down like that, then hits him another RKO, and then pins him and hits a punt kick on him and stuff like that. So the match was really boring, actually, to be a whole type of thing when it comes to unsanctioned stuff. But it was just like, okay, let's write the Big Show off. Let's add another legend to Randy Orton's list. So that was Raw this week. There was a couple decent things I liked on Raw. Mainly the Hurt Business and the Golden Role Models and the tag team match aspect. So the match was good. So actually, I give Raw a slight pass this week. I like the main event, obviously, but everything else was kind of cool to me. It wasn't, that much trash on here, so I give a slight pass. But what do you guys rate it? Post that in the comments down below how you guys feel about Monday Night Raw this past week. Make sure you stay tuned for the Wednesday Night War this week and the Friday Night SmackDown review, which I'm going to try to get you guys on time this week. So once again, this is NC, the place to be. Chill, Mr. Indy, and their coalition is out.